Have you ever had a lyric sheet shoved in your face and then been expected to create a great bass line from absolutely nothing? Well, in this bass lesson, you'll learn exactly how to approach bass line creation when you have nothing but a few notes, or some notes, and a page full of lyrics. Welcome to lesson 6 of Basslines from scratch, and today we'll be learning how to make bass lines from scratch when the only thing you're given is a lyric sheet. This happens a ton if you ever played open mic nights or jam sessions. Sometimes if you play in church, these lyric sheets are what you end up going off. They don't tell you the exact notes in the bass line. In fact, they don't really give you much to go off at all. It's like giving you a map, which may or may not be correct, and just expecting you to figure out where to go. It's definitely possible, but if you have the right tools and approach, you can do it so much better. So let's jump in, let's get to it. So this is kind of what your typical lyric sheet looks like. There's some, we'll get down to some lyrics here with some chords above them. Sometimes you'll find that the chords are below the lyrics, depending on who wrote the chord chart, but most of the time you'll find them above. You'll see in this one as well, we've got some guitar tabs written in, and it looks like these might be the chords that get played under this particular thing. That's my best guess anyway, I could be wrong. Now this is actually a real song by the Stone Temple Pilots called Interstate Love Song, and it's the first result you'll find when you Google Stone Temple Pilots Interstate Love Song chords. I've also got a backing track over here ready to go later on, so I'll actually go through and try and get through this with the track using all the things that I'm about to show you. Now the trick with playing from chord sheets like this is to keep your ears wide open specifically for the singer. Now if the chart is written well, the chords will change roughly where they are in relation to the lyrics. So see this very first lyric here, this waiting right there. See right above that there's a C sharp minor chord directly above that word. So chances are that C sharp minor chord happens at the exact same time as the word waiting. And because it's right at the start, I'm guessing it's probably going to be on beat 1. If the C sharp minor chord, for example, was over on the next word, on the on, then you'd play the C sharp minor chord after the word waiting and when you heard the word on. So as far as what notes to play, they're all much kind of laid out for you. At the basic level, you should just aim to play the roots of all the chords. That means if you see a C sharp minor 7 here, you don't need to worry about the minor 7 part. You can just be happy playing the C sharp. Let the other instruments worry about all the chord qualities for right now. At the moment, we're just trying to make a functional line, and the way to do that is just with the roots of the chords. Now this chart is actually a little bit tricky as well, because you have these things called slash chords. That's where you have a chord and then a slash and then another note. For example, this second chord here is a G sharp chord and then with a slash and you get a C. So you call this a G sharp over C chord. And with chords like this, you actually want to play the note after the slash. So if you came up against this chord right here, you just play the C. If you came up against the next chord, the C sharp 7 over B, all you'd have to play is the B. Don't even worry about the notes before the slash at this stage. You can do all that stuff later, but again, we're aiming for a functional line. So over this A sharp minor 7 flat 5, we don't need to worry about the minor 7 flat 5 part. We can just play the A sharp and be golden. And over this A5, obviously we just play an A. This is actually pretty cool. We start on the C sharp and we go down chromatically, 1 fret at a time until we get to the A. It's simple when you think about it like this, right? So that's the notes taken care of, but what about the rhythm? It's arguably the more important part of your bass line, right? And my advice when you're doing this kind of thing, especially if you haven't played the song before, is to keep everything as simple as possible. Even if that just means playing long notes on the chords and only changing when the chord changes. It's much, much better to play something simple that you know works than try and get fancy and then lose your place and accidentally sabotage the music. And from there, you can add some more rhythms that fit the song. You can match the drummer's bass drum just using the roots of the chords. That pretty much always works. If the bass drum is going then you can just use the roots of the chords and copy that. You go Now with the chords in this Stone Temple Pilots track, that might sound exactly like that. So we get so we've got C sharp, C, B, A sharp, A, something like that. Obviously it's not going to sound like this. Well, probably not, it may, but this is the kind of idea. Now, this is definitely simple, but it's unbelievably effective for creating functional bass lines. Now, if there's not always a drummer, you can borrow some rhythms that the chord player is playing. If usually a guitar or a keys player, if they're using a strumming pattern, for example, a guitar is using a strumming pattern that's going ba 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 da ba, then you might match it ba da ba 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 da ba 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 da ba 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 ba. In general though, it's better to err on the side of simplicity. Now before we dive into creating a bass line for this particular track, there's two really quick things to consider. Number one, first of all, sometimes there will be changes of chords where there's no lyrics happening at the time. This makes it a little bit trickier to know exactly when to change notes, and once again, when this happens, it really pays to have your ears wide open, listening to the other instruments that you're playing with, listening to guitars, keys, anyone who can kind of give you a hint. You can even watch the guitarist or follow the left hand of the piano player and see what shapes they're playing. That can be really useful for kind of knowing your notes ahead of time. And secondly, sometimes the lyric and chord sheets like this you find on the internet are just plain wrong. Maybe the person who wrote it was using a different version of the song than you're familiar with. Maybe it's their own personal arrangement of the song, or maybe they just didn't do a good job of figuring it out in the first place. So just be aware of that as you go through looking at these different lyric sheets. But right now, let's have a crack at this track, and I don't actually know this song very well, to be honest, and I don't know how accurate this lyric sheet is, but I do have a track with the bass taken out, so let's give this a shot and try and figure out what we can do. Now, by the very start of it, it looks like there is an intro, but no lyrics, so we'll just keep it simple at the start, see what we can do. Alright. Here we go. Okay, so C sharp, E. Okay, so it's just one bar each, that's handy. To G sharp, 2, 3, 4, oh, up to the A, 2, 3, 4. Where are we at? There's the C sharp. Down to the A. A little half bar there. Okay, so we can use that, if you listen to the guitar part in there, we can steal that rhythm. Now A5, little half bar. I didn't catch it again. Leaving? Okay, so the G sharp sus and the G sharp, they're kind of half a bar each. Then that thing again. Breathing? Twice. Ears open, always. Breathing here. Four. Okay, got the hang of it. Okay. So, all in all, we didn't do too badly. There was a couple of times we messed up, went to chords at the wrong time. This little half bars on the A's, they messed me up a couple of times. I can't remember what it was now. I think it was at the ends of the verses, maybe? And it went straight into this section rather than it's like a little bar of 2. That kind of caught me up a little bit. Also, a couple of times I expected this to happen the wrong number of times. But once again, you just got to keep your ears open, stay on your toes, have everything kind of dialed in, and just try and keep things simple. We ended up settling on the... because that was the rhythm that the guitar was playing. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, whoops. Where was it? Yeah, the... Dun, dun. The bass drum isn't super strong in this track, but I mean, even then, that would have been acceptable. Once again, I have no idea how the actual bass line of this song goes. It might be exactly that, it might be something completely different. I'd be curious as to what the bass is playing during this little guitar bit, that bow, 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 bow. Because that's, yeah, they've just kind of, I was just playing E, because that's what it was saying in this little section here, but I'm not sure if that's after they play that. Who knows? It's one of history's mysteries. We can find out if you check out the original song. I'll try and remember to put a link to the actual song in the description of this video as well. But this is the process. It's not always going to be perfect, but that being said, you can do a fairly good job if you know how to approach it. Now, obviously, this is kind of an artificial scenario, right? I can still stop the track if I get lost and everything like that, but this is the general process when you need to come up with a bass line in a hurry and you don't know the song. And when you can do this, when you can make your own bass lines from scratch, there's almost nothing more rewarding. Sometimes though, it can be hard to know whether what you've created is any good, or even if it works. To put your mind at ease though, and make sure that any bass line you make is actually good, I've got the perfect thing for you. It's called the Basslines from Scratch Checklist. If you're creating a new bass line and you want to make sure it's as good as it could possibly be, see how it stacks up against the checklist. If it's all good, then that's great. If not, then you'll know exactly what you need to do to make it the best bass line for the song. It's 100% free, so to get it, just click the link in the description, fill out the form on that page, and I'll send it straight to your email address. Just a friendly little gift from me to you. To recap though, you learned about how to create a bass line from nothing but a chord chart or a lyric sheet. Even if you don't read music, even if you've never played the song before, even if you've never even heard the song before. You learned that if you can focus on the roots of the chords and figuring out a rhythm that works with the song, then you're basically 90% of the way there, because the line you create will be really functional. And of course you learned that using your ears and keeping them wide open was essential to the whole process. Plus you saw me do it in real time with that Stone Temple Pilots song. Thanks so much for watching, I really appreciate having you with me. Make sure you head to the site and get the bass line checklist for free, it'll make all your bass lines better. I'm Luke from Become a Bassist, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video in this Basslines from Scratch series. Cheers.